That was Brian Albert in 2024. He has not taken the stand yet in this 2025 trial. Let's bring back in our analysts. Joining the program now, National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar with us. Michael, I've got a question for you because I know you are very pro-prosecution in this case. But when we're listening to Brian Albert, and basically he's got an explanation for everything. Dog rehomed, phone upgraded, good seller's market for why they sold the house. But are these too many things to be a coincidence?
He's a complete professional, right? He's a very accomplished detective. He solved the Craigslist murders. I mean, he knew what he was doing. He was a pro when he took that stand. There's a ton of coincidences, which is why I really, really, really revere Hank Brennan in this case. It makes so much sense that Hank Brennan didn't bring him into this case as a witness. So there are a lot of coincidences, but they're only nefarious. They're only puzzling if a person gets to the point where they believe that Brian Albert was involved in the murder, which I just think it's beyond a stretch, right? But to answer your question, yes, there's a lot. There's an ongoing case. There was this big motion by the defense 1 year before the first trial where they showed the dog bites, the alleged dog bites on the arm, the injuries on John O'Keefe's arm, and they said, we think that he was killed in the home, that Chloe did it. We think that the Albert's dog was involved in it. So because of that, it was a bit much. But at the end of the day, I just don't think I think it only matters when if the jury gets to the point where they believe that Brian Albert was involved in the murder, which I think is too much.
Mike, it piles on a lot. You got the butt dials, right? You got that. You also have the fact that he never got up that night with all this activity going on outside his house. I want to listen to a soundbite from cross-examination where he talks a little bit, and this is again from the first trial, where he tells the jury and he answers the question why he didn't come outside. So let's take a listen. Michael Jaafar. Michael, I'll start with you. We may be seeing one of the reasons there in that cross-examination why the state decided not to call him, or the Commonwealth decided not to call him. One of the things you can do on cross is control a witness, right? You can take them where you want them to go, and you see that happening here to great effect. If you call him on direct, things are a little different. You have to let them tell their story, and if he's not really a friendly witness, that could be problematic. Do you agree with the streamlining of the case? We know they basically cut their witness count in half almost this time around. Do you agree with that tactic this time by the Commonwealth?
1000% agree, and I'm very, very, very impressed with the way Hank Brennan made these decisions. Look, I don't want to be a hypocrite and say that I saw this coming all along. I did not. I never thought in a million years that he would not bring any of these people, minus Jen McCabe, right? In hindsight, it's such a brilliant strategy. It's a completely brilliant strategy, and it was the right move because at the end of the day, you saw a motion earlier this week where he was begging, he was tempting the defense to call Michael Proctor. Now Hank Brennan wants them to call Michael Proctor, and so now we know his theory, we know his thinking. Because of that motion, that lends credence to exactly what you just asked me, which is this was his strategy all along. It was, listen, you want to mess around? Go ahead. Call these witnesses. I'll cross-examine them, and I'll get the actual narrative on the table. Because at the end of the day, this was a brilliant strategy. So to answer your question, yes, this was intentional. Hank Brennan did it because he wants to ask them leading questions, because he knows that if he asks them leading questions, he can basically throw back into the defense, throw it back into their lap, their theory, their farcical theory, because on cross-examination, he knows he'd be dangerous. And plus, Hank Brennan's a defense attorney, and we all make our bones on cross-examination. We all tell ourselves we got killer crosses. Not a lot of us do. He really does.
Michael Jaafar, yesterday we heard that Diddy bought for $100,000 that video that we're talking about. We saw Kelly talking about earlier. To me, that was one of the more important acts because he's trying to protect himself. When we talk about racketeering, that's the kind of thing I think of, right? You're going to spend money. And one of the most chilling things was he wanted the name and addresses of everybody involved who was getting money from that $100,000, with the implications being anybody do anything, untoward, you're going to be in trouble because we got your name and address, et cetera. You see these in these crime movies all the time. Do you agree with me that that was an important part of the federal case?
Oh, absolutely. Very important part of the federal case. Look, the federal government has to do something that is very, very difficult, right? They have to bring this into a racketeering framework, right? So they have to prove that in the last 10 years, he has done more than 2 or more acts that bring this into the racketeering sphere, right? They're saying that his media mogul empire was not there just to sell records and make money. It was there to proliferate and keep him, allow him to do his sexual coercion, and he had his staff doing it with him.
We're gonna have
So
to leave it right
all
there.
of this is
we
important.
We have to get to a break. Stay with us. More Court TV Live on the other side.